ever stumble into some corner of the internet, you're like, what is this? Like, it's so bizarre, so uniquely weird that you just can't look away.
Well, today we are diving deep into one such corner. Get ready to explore the utterly baffling world of Bup Nation.
And the fascinating thing is we're not just talking about some random online community, right? We have this incredible document, the Bup Bible.
The Bup Bible.
Yeah, it's wild. It chronicles their whole journey from a simple Discord server to, well, whatever this is. It's like a digital time capsule, full of inside jokes, memes events, and they're so specific, it's enough to make your head spin. Seriously, this Bup Bible, this is our guidebook, everybody. And let me tell you, it is a ride. But before we get too far, for those of you, those rare few who have never experienced the glory that is Discord, what we're talking about here is basically the ultimate virtual hangout spot. Imagine group chats on steroids, right? Voice channels, custom emojis, and enough meme sharing to power a small country.
Oh, yeah.
That's Discord.
And Bup Nation took that potential for, well, creative expression, shall we say, and they really ran with it.
They did.
But to really grasp the depths of Bup Nation's eccentricities, I think we need to go back to the very beginning.
Back to the big bang of Bup, as it were.
There you go.
And according to the Bup Bible, it all started with a quest for an emoji. Seems simple enough.
Yeah.
They were just a group of friends hanging out in a Discord server dedicated to the YouTuber Nathaniel Bandy. Pretty standard online origin story, right?
Seemingly, yeah. Until you factor in the mod. The digital gatekeeper of this Nathaniel Bandy utopia, known only as Vexian.
Vexian.
A mod specialized in getting poop on his face, quote.
Okay, all right.
And this Vexian character, he refused to allow a Bup emoji into the server. The reasons why? Shrouded in mystery.
Of course, naturally.
Of course.
Vexian's iron grip on emoji creation, it sparked outrage.
Oh, yeah.
This group of friends said, we are not living in a world without a Bup emoji.
Right.
They decided to forge their own path. And in September of 2018, Bup Nation was born.
It was a digital nation founded on what seemed like this simple principle. Bup. Bup. Whatever that may be.
Whatever that may be.
But like any fledgling civilization they needed their own cultural touchstones, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we see some of those early Bup Nation memes, like the iconic PLANT.
PLANT.
A phrase, I have to say, as nonsensical as it is central to their identity.
Yes.
It's important.
Essential. And as we often see in these online communities, especially those with younger members, Bup Nation developed their own, shall we say, unique sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
The Bup Bible chronicles this early fascination with hentai, which, for those unfamiliar...
Go Google it.
Yeah, probably don't Google it. Let's just say it's adult content from Japan, and we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it there.
But it seems like this fascination, however fleeting, played a role in shaping their comedic sensibilities.
It's true. It's a good reminder that online communities, like any other, are shaped by the interests, the experiences of their members. In those early days, those formative experiences, they leave a mark.
They do.
On a community's culture,
Absolutely. And speaking of cultural influences, Bup Nation boasts a cast of characters so colorful, so undeniably Bup, that you'd swear they were plucked straight out of, I don't know, a sitcom set in digital purgatory.
Oh, it's true. The Bup Bible reads like a who's who of online personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Bup Dad, the self-proclaimed leader with 250 stupid stories to tell.
Oh, Bup Dad.
Right. Is he a benevolent ruler? Is he a tyrannical overlord? Or just some guy, who really likes to ramble? Honestly, the Bup Bible leaves us wonderfully unsure.
Keeps us guessing. And then you've got Mayu, a rosé enthusiast seemingly haunted by the Melody Festival app.
Oh.
Now, if that sounds like a fever dream waiting to happen, trust me, it only gets weirder from here.
Oh, yeah.
We've also got Crash Fab, the self-proclaimed tit-fuck enthusiast. And I'm just the messenger here, folks, reporting live from the Bupverse. Don't shoot the messenger.
Right, exactly. And let's not forget Durowan, described as the embodiment of gay energy, a phrase that appears throughout the Bup Bible, almost like a badge of honor or a term of endearment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like their own unique slang. We see that a lot with online communities. They develop these shared languages, inside jokes that feel completely baffling to outsiders. But to them, it's everything. It's a way of creating a sense of belonging.
Exactly. It speaks to the power of language to both, to unite and exclude.
Right.
But speaking of Dean's gay energy, we also have Athena, the Stoic genius, who, according to the Bup Bible, absorbed All of it.
Just sucked it right up.
All of it.
A true act of friendship, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely.
But perhaps the most enigmatic figure in this whole Bup Nation saga is Stuff.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. The ultimate Bup Nation mystery.
Nobody knows what Stuff is. Not even the Bup Bible seems to have a definitive answer.
It's this recurring question mark.
Yeah.
This embodiment of the unknown that just like
Yeah.
permeates their entire online mythology. Who is Stuff? What is Stuff? It's a question. It's a question that's going to follow us throughout this whole deep dive into Bup Nation. It's like when you peel back the layers of this Bup Bible, right? These characters, these personalities, they're just one layer of the Bup Nation onion, man.
Oh, there are layers, believe me, layers upon layers.
We start to see how their humor, their inside jokes, it becomes this way of documenting their experiences, their shared history, right? Like, for example, take the infamous Great Waifu Wars.
Which, I gotta say, for the uninitiated, sounds way more dramatic than it probably was.
Right. See, it's the perfect example of how online communities, they can take something like seemingly trivial as fictional characters, in this case, waifus.
For those who don't know, we're talking about idealized female characters, from anime, video games, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. And often with a healthy dose of objectification, I might add.
Yeah, you could see that.
But they take these waifus and they turn them into a source of, well, passionate debate.
Which quickly, according to the Bup Bible, escalated into full-blown wars.
Wars waged with memes.
Yeah.
With inside jokes, with this kind of fervent dedication that honestly only a true online community can, like, muster.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious, but it's kind of sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the power of these digital spaces. This need to belong.
It's true. There's a real sense of shared identity, of belonging.
Here you go.
And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of Bup Nation's culture. Their love affair with irony. Because you have to understand, right, reading through this Bup Bible, you're constantly going to come across things that sound, offensive, to put it mildly.
Oh, yeah.
But then you start to pick up on the fact that more often than not, they're not being serious.
Right.
It's all irony, right? All part of this elaborate performance of absurdity.
It's performance art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, take, for instance, the concept of gay baby jail.
Yeah.
Now, on the surface, that sounds utterly appalling.
Right, because it is.
Because it is. But within the context of Bup Nation, within their little world, it's just a joke, a way to poke fun at each other. This, their brand of ironic, self-aware humor.
It's almost like a form of social control, but it's entirely self-imposed, right?
Yeah.
Built on this foundation of shared irony.
Yes. Like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of good taste, but always with this wink and a nod, this understanding that they're all in on the joke.
Oh, 100%. They're all in on it.
And this ironic sensibility, it extends beyond their internal dynamics, too. They've also got this fascinating habit of, like, appropriating real-world figures into their bizarre little online universe.
That's right.
Like their inexplicable obsession with Margaret Thatcher.
The former British Prime Minister.
The one and only. Now, why a group of, let's be honest, mostly teenage boys on Discord would develop this bizarre fascination with Margaret Thatcher is completely beyond me. But the Bup Bible, it's like full of references to her. It's like she became this unlikely icon, this symbol of, I don't even know.
Right. It's like, of what?
What
does it mean?
Exactly. It's the internet.
It's the internet, man. And I think that's what's so great about it. You can take anything and just completely divorce it from, like, its original context.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Give a whole new meaning.
And speaking of taking things from the real world and warping them beyond all recognition, we got to talk about their whole thing with Darman, the motivational speaker.
It's Darman fam.
That's the one. They held this event called, get this, Ramad Harman, where they fasted for 12 hours and consumed nothing but Darman videos.
Oh, wow.
I mean, talk about ironic detachment.
It's brilliant.
They weaponized it against this earnest, well-meaning guy. And you know what? It worked because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's so absurd, so over the top, you can't help but laugh. And I think that's the brilliance of Bup Nation's humor. It's not for everybody.
No.
But it's undeniably them.
It's very them. It's this, online communities, for all their quirks and their absurdities, they're capable of, like, genuinely creative, insightful forms of expression. Like, they really are.
It's true. So while we've been focusing a lot on these, like, individual events, these strange happenings, documented in the Bup Bible, It's important to remember that Bup Nation wasn't just some isolated digital island. They were part of a larger ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets interesting, right?
Okay.
Because remember how they started? As a spin-off, a different server.
The great Bup Exodus of 2018. Never forget.
There you go. Well, according to the Bup Bible, they eventually, how shall we say, absorbed several other Buck-related servers.
They called it annexation. But yeah, they basically went on a Discord server conquering spree.
It's like something out of the history books, man.
Right.
But instead of conquering territory, they're conquering, digital spaces dedicated to an inside joke.
It's wild. And this wasn't just some like haphazard, grab as much digital land as you can. They had a war council dedicated to planning these takeovers.
War Council. That's amazing.
I know. It's both impressive and ridiculous.
It really is.
Which, I mean, that kind of sums up the entire Bup Nation experience, if you ask me. But perhaps their most impressive conquest, or at least the one that gets the most ink in the Bup Bible, was their infiltration of the rival Bup Ciphers server.
Yes.
The Bup Ciphers, a splinter group.
A band of digital dissidents who dared to challenge Bup Nation's dominance.
I love it. Now, the Bup Bible doesn't really give us too much detail about what went down, but it seems like they used this GIF, this totally innocuous GIF of a guy saying, "Good evening, Bup Nation," and they just spammed it relentlessly on loop until the Bup ciphers just crumbled.
Wow. It's amazing how something as simple as a GIF can be, like a weapon, a
How?
symbol of dominance in the online world.
It's like digital graffiti or something. You tag your rival server with enough "Good evening, Bup Nation" GIFs, and eventually they just give up.
A bloodless coup, orchestrated entirely through the power of memes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
But as we've seen time and time again throughout Bup Nation's history, even the mightiest empires, they can fall.
They do. They all fall.
And according to the Bup Bible, their reign of digital dominance, well, it wasn't exactly built to last.
That's right. There are these increasingly frequent entries in, like, the latter half of the Bup Bible.
Yeah, it starts getting a little dark.
Yeah, and it hints at this impending sense of doom.
The Bupocalypse. But before we get to that, I think we got to take a minute to appreciate some of the highlights, some of the truly bizarre moments documented in this Bup Nation timeline.
Oh, yes. Please, you gotta tell me more.
Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling through the Bup Bible timeline, right? And you've got these entries about, like, Bup Dad's legendary rambling stories.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
talking epic sagas that would make Tolkien blush.
I believe it.
Then there are the disastrous Kahoot games, where I can only assume all questions and answers devolved into some form of Buck-related nonsense.
Naturally.
And then, just when you think you've got a handle on the sheer randomness of this community, you stumble upon an entry about Michael Welsh's emotional breakdown over women's rights. It really makes you wonder, like, what was going through their minds,
Right. Were they trying to be provocative?
Yeah.
Is it satire?
Or was this just another example of, like, their ironic humor gone awry?
Right. Like, where's the line?
Exactly. Nobody knows.
We don't know.
It's a question that, like so much else in the Bible, is ultimately left unanswered.
Yeah, and that ambiguity, I think that's part of what makes this document so fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a window into this world that operates by its own internal logic.
Yes. Their own rules, their own laws.
A world where, honestly, the lines between sincerity and irony and absurdity, it all gets kind of blurred.
Completely. And speaking of blurred lines and questionable life choices, we got to talk about Buck Dad's penis-breaking, just dance injury.
The infamous Black Mamba incident of 2022.
An event so legendary, so utterly baffling, it deserves its own chapter in the annals of internet history.
Although maybe not a chapter we should, delve into on this particular podcast.
Yeah, some things are best left to the imagination, or in this case, the digital pages of the Bible.
Right.
But it really does highlight the lengths to which Bup Nation would go in their pursuit of, well, whatever it was they were pursuing.
It's almost like they saw it as their mission to document, like, every absurd, hilarious, sometimes cringeworthy moment of their existence.
Oh, yeah.
And by doing that, I mean, they inadvertently created this incredible artifact.
They did. This Bup Bible.
Yeah, this Bup Bible that gives us this glimpse into, like, the chaotic heart of online community culture.
It really is. It's like a goldmine for, like, internet anthropologists.
Oh, totally.
But as we've seen throughout our deep dive into Bup Nation, even the most vibrant online communities, they can't last forever.
No, they all fade.
Remember that impending sense of doom we talked about?
The Bupocalypse.
Right. Well, it turns out that doom had a very specific deadline, the scheduled closure of the Bup Nation server.
It's true. It's a stark reminder that these digital spaces, these online worlds that we pour so much of ourselves into, they vanish just as quickly as they appear.
Yeah, poof, gone. Like, I imagine that led to a collective existential crisis within Bup Nation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can practically feel the angst, the digital despair seeping through the Book Bible's final entries.
So as we close the book on the Bup Bible, on this strange and wonderful journey into like the heart of Bup Nation, we're left with this one final lingering question. What is stuff?
After all this, after poring over countless pages of like memes, inside jokes, bizarre events, the true nature of stuff, it remains elusive.
It's the ultimate Bup Nation riddle.
It really is.
Maybe stuff was nothing more than a figment of their collective imagination,
Right.
a shared delusion that brought them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe, just maybe, stuff represents something more profound.
Maybe stuff is bigger than all of us.
Maybe.
Who knows?
What do you think stuff is?
Right.
Let us know. But whatever stuff may be, it's clear that Bup Nation, they left their mark on the digital world.
They did. They did. They left their mark.
They reminded us that online communities, for all their flaws and their absurdities, they can be places of incredible creativity, genuine human connection,
100%.
places of laughter so intense it can make your sides hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
So, as you navigate the vast and ever-evolving world of the internet, remember the lessons of Bup Nation. Embrace the absurd, question everything, and never, ever underestimate the power of a good Bup emoji.
Here, here. Well said.
And with that, we bid farewell to the enigmatic world of Bup Nation. This has been The Deep Dive, your guide to the weird, the wonderful, and the utterly baffling corners of the internet.